Hi, it's Chris Peel, writer and co-creator for Half-Ass Publishing's comic book Some Big Lumberjack. Well, we got a little bit of a different, kind of a different tone this time. I got a phone call last week. I was on vacation, and I got a phone call last week from the guy that has done all this with me. You know, he's one of the co-creators. He's one of the co-writers, and so he called me up. We've had a few disagreements on how we were going to handle some things and how we were going to go about doing a few things. So I knew there was probably just a little bit of tension there. But he called me and told me that he was out. He was out of the relaunch. He was no longer going to be part of Half-Ass Publishing, no longer going to be part of Some Big Lumberjack. And I was absolutely shocked. I could not believe it. I mean, this is a guy who has been from the beginning. You know, if you've seen the first video I posted, kind of talking about the history of Some Big Lumberjack and Half-Ass Publishing, I talked about, you know, going to a friend's barbecue and kind of reading a Wizard magazine and coming up with the idea for Some Big Lumberjack. Well, that was him. And he and I, you know, created all these characters in this universe. And you know, we worked on the books. He wrote all the books with me, along with several other things. You know, he's a great, you know, marketer and came up with some really great stuff for us. And, you know, he was the one that would always get the sketches from artists, from all the various artists when we would do a convention. And now he's gone. So he's totally out. And I got to be honest, I didn't really know how to respond. I decided, you know, let me let him speak and get his side across. And, you know, I just didn't want to lash out because you know, of course, angry because I was like, man, how am I going to do this without you? But, you know, I can't blame him because, you know, the main thing that's, you know, first off, okay, the main thing we disagreed on was crowdfunding. He did not want to crowdfund, whereas I'm all for it. So I'm all, that is my wife telling my children they have 10 minutes until bedtime, not telling me that 10 minutes to talk. Anyway, so I've lost my train of thought now. So anyway, so he did not want to do crowdfunding. He kind of, you know, he felt like people would think they were, you know, owning a piece of Some Big Lumberjack instead of just buying, you know, a copy of the relaunch. You know, he didn't like the idea that some, you know, people could potentially own part of Half-Ass Publishing or Some Big Lumberjack or whichever. And you know, I kept telling him, like, that's not how this works. It's just basically pre-sales for a book. But anyway, so we didn't agree to that. We didn't agree on that. And then I did, you know, in true me fashion, I just posted a video. The first video I posted was like, you know, crowdfunding, time for a relaunch. So you know, I don't blame him for being upset about that. I kind of jumped the gun there on that. But I think the real thing that's got him not wanting to get involved is really the climate that's out there right now with comic books. You know, with all this, you know, Comicsgate and anti-Comicsgate and, you know, the SJWs and NPCs and whatever they're called. Seems like it changes weekly. And just all the just venom, pardon the pun, that is just spewed back and forth. You know, we've got a Twitter account, and every time I go on there, it's just some big fight going on, it seems. And you know, I'm generally like, I'll like to take the fight, you know, and fight the good fight and everything. But man, I don't know about y'all, but I am just tired. I am just plain tired. I need a break from all this political stuff. I mean, I'm a conservative guy. And originally, the idea I had when I first came up with the idea for Some Big Lumberjack, the idea I had was he was going to be a conservative hero, but to the point where it was satirical. You know, it was a joke, and like he was going to have shrines to Charlton Heston and G. Gordon Liddy, and you know, these super, you know, super right wing guys. But the villains were originally going to be, leftists, like, he's a lumberjack. So who would a lumberjack be against? Like the Sierra Club and PETA and Greenpeace and all those type of organizations were going to kind of be like the Scar, you know, like how Scar is to Bond, they would be to Some Big Lumberjack. I think that's Scar. I think it's Scar is the name of the supervillain group that Blofeld was a part of. Was it Scar? Anyways, so I don't blame him really, and because he's got a really really nice job, and he's got a lot of things going on for him right now. And like that umbrella guy, got doxxed, and they called his job, these SJWs called his job, and were telling his employers, oh, do you really want to be employing a Nazi and a transphobe and a homophobe? I mean, that's crazy, man. That's like you're going after somebody's livelihood simply because you disagree with their ideology. And so he was really concerned about that. And honestly, I don't blame him. But I really don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about someone trying to dox me, or even if they do and call my employer, they're just so like, it's not even going to be an issue. But now that's not a challenge. Don't get me wrong. It's not a challenge to try to do all that, but I'm just not really concerned about it. I mean, first off, we're so low on the totem pole right now that I just don't think it's an issue. Plus, we're not going to go and, after talking to him about the concern about the politics, because originally this relaunch story was going to be very, like battling SJWs. The villain was originally going to be either Nanny State or the big baddie was going to be Antifa. But I decided to, after talking to Tom and after listening, I listened to I watched an Ethan Van Sciver YouTube video, and he talked about that, and he talked about how he doesn't think he doesn't want to do that, because just as SJWs and stuff like that are forcing all this leftist progressive ideology into mainstream comics, and that's turning people off, doing the opposite would essentially be doing the same thing, like forcing right wing I guess you could say propaganda or ideologies into other comic books. And it's doing the same thing. And like, for instance, I used to love watching late night television. I just can't stomach it anymore. I'm sick of going on, watching that stuff. And just every time I watch it, it's, I'm being told I'm a Nazi or whatever, or I'm like evil, super evil because I'm conservative, and I'm sick of it. And you know what? I don't want to do that to other people. And so we're not going to do that. We're going to keep SBL light. We're going to keep it fun. But even with that being said, he's very adamant that he's not going to continue on this with me. So I had something to think about. Am I going to do this by myself? Am I going to continue to go down this road and, finish the script and all this all by myself? And it actually took me a few days. I've really considered just letting it go. And I just really was unsure of what to do. But I have decided that I am going to continue with it. I'm going to finish this script. I'm going to see this through. And Jeff's still on board. Our original artist, he's still on board. And we're looking for a cover artist right now. And yeah, so we're going to see it through. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to finish this script, and we're going to make this book, and we're going to crowdfund it, and we're going to move on. Now, by moving on, that may mean the end of Some Big Lumberjack. I don't know. This may be the last issue for Some Big Lumberjack, because it's going to be weird doing it without him, being that he was, he's one of the original guys. He's one of the creators. But it may or it may not. It just depends. And I've already got a couple of ideas for some other SBL stories, but we're just going to have to see. but this for sure is going to keep going. I also have other ideas for non Some Big Lumberjack stories that will be more serious and more action, drama action, draction. Ooh, I just made that up. Draction type stories that we'll release under the Half-Ass Publishing banner as well. So just things are changing, a little scary, but I'm seeing it through. Gonna focus on this and get it done. Like I said, the script is coming along excellent. I know Jeff is he's God, he told me he's got 13 pages kind of roughed out, so that's going along, pretty good. And we're gonna light this candle and we're gonna launch this sucker. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. And I thought a long time, like, am I even going to talk about this? And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to be very transparent in this whole process and share this whole thing from beginning to end. And unfortunately, the warts are part of it, right? And again, hey, I harbor no ill will toward him. He's still like one of my best friends. But yeah, it's going to be a little strange, but we're going to make it because that's part of life, right? 2019, new change. Boy, we got some change coming. Anyways, hey, thanks everybody for joining me. It's time to put the kids to bed. Once again, as always, I am Chris Peel, writer and creator for Half-Ass Publishing and Some Big Lumberjack. Y'all have a good evening, and I'll talk to you next time.